She's a cat doctor. Ooh, yeah. She's your cat's best friend.
Hi, this is Ask the Cat Doctor TV. I'm Dr. Shelby Neely,
And I'm Nicole Rogers.
and we're here today to talk with you about your cat's nutrition. Nutrition is a big deal to us.
It is. It is.
We're going to tell you some things that are going to probably shock you. It seems that every time we go and see clients
yeah.
and we discuss what their cat should really be eating, they are shocked. And have we found one person yet that was already feeding it? No. So
No.
I don't know why this is not such a new concept, but you know, it's been around for, people have been talking about this for 10 years or more.
Right.
And what we should be feeding our cats has a much longer history than that. It evolves out of where our cats evolved from, you know, hundreds
Sure.
of years actually. And but it's still, it's being hidden to some degree
Yep.
by pet food companies.
Yep. Yeah. And it's a shame. It's such an important topic. It's something that proper nutrition is the key to
Everything.
health.
Yes, it is. It's the underlying cornerstone of many, many things. And we have many obese cats in this country, and many cases of diabetes and other things that are directly linked to what you're feeding your cat. We'd like to see you stop that.
Yeah.
So, the thing that's going on with pet food manufacturers, and it's not all of them, there are some good brands out there, there are some conscientious companies
Yeah.
that are acknowledging what cats need,
Sure.
making
Sure.
the right thing.
Right.
Let's talk first, what do cats need? Cats are true carnivores.
Yep. The only obligate carnivores.
The only obligate carnivores. For that reason, they need a protein diet, a high animal protein
Right.
diet. And they cannot get the protein that they need in vegetable, plant protein.
Right. So
And-
soy and things of that nature don't provide them
They
what
don't
they
provide
need.
them with what they need. Their intestines are also shorter
Right.
than most other intestines because their intestinal tract evolved to process meat, not to process plant material, and it's just not good for them. There are a lot of things they need to get from their diet that they can't make themselves in their own bodies,
Sure.
and they need to get that from their source of food. They don't need carbohydrates. There's just not a need for carbohydrates in your cat. And what's happened is that the pet food industry started making dry food, of course, which everyone loves.
Convenient. Easy to leave down.
Less smelly.
Less smelly. Yeah.
And everyone over the past decades has jumped on the dry food bandwagon, and that's what most people that we meet are feeding their cats. The problem with that is that almost every, what have you found, 2 brands so far?
2, 3 brands, yeah.
That aren't too high in carbohydrates. Most dry cat food is way too high in carbohydrates, and this is what's making our cats fat
Mm-hmm.
and diabetic.
Yeah.
So the first thing you can do to make your cat healthier is cut out the dry food.
Right.
And that's shocking.
Yeah.
It,
Most
people
people.
are always, we don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It takes a little more effort to feed your cat canned food, and remember to give them a certain number of meals a day. And some people complain a lot about the odor. I've never really,
It doesn't bother me.
No.
It doesn't.
I don't really
some
care
of
about the
some
odor.
of the canned cat foods taste good enough.
Smell good
smell
enough.
good enough to taste.
You said tasty
No,
cat food.
I haven't. There are companies though that do.
There are companies. I
So,
read of a company that before they put out their cat food, they will taste it themselves.
yeah.
But what you want to do is get off that dry food, because that immediately will lower the carbohydrates in your cat's diet. Now, there are still plenty of canned foods that still are too high in carbohydrates. And for
Right.
that reason, we call manufacturers, and you can't read this on a can you?
No, you can't. You can't. There's no carbohydrate value listed on a can. And furthermore, the values that are listed do not actually represent what's in the food. It's a guaranteed analysis, which is not.
It's a minimum and maximum.
It's a minimum maximum,
system,
right? And
they'll guarantee a minimum amount of protein and a maximum amount, but you really have no idea
Right.
where in the range that actual food falls.
the as fed value is what you really need, or the typical analysis, and that's on a can by can basis.
And you can only get that information by calling the manufacturer.
Right.
So a lot of good people, veterinarians and cat lovers, cat owners, cat parents, whatever we call them these days, have called many manufacturers so that we can come up with lists of the appropriate food to feed your cat. The diets that are low in carbohydrates, high in protein, and moderate in fat.
Right.
And you've made some of those calls for me at times, and for our clients. And sometimes they won't tell you.
Sometimes they won't. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. Even if you tell them why you're calling. In the cases of, we have a diabetic cat we have to calculate this out for, or a cat with kidney disease that we need to know the actual protein value. They still won't cooperate, and it's frustrating.
That should make you not feed their food, quite honestly, because I would think they have to be hiding something.
Yeah.
They don't want to tell you the carbohydrate percentage of their food because it's too high.
Right.
And they know that people are learning, that more and more word is getting out there, that cats need to lower their carbohydrates severely. So I think that's why they don't give out the information.
Right.
So what you can do, at least for the moment, until all the companies kind of shape up and produce the right food, which I think public pressure is going to make that happen, but I don't know how many more years it's going to take.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We have created lists of the foods that we have been able to get the values of,
Right.
that tell the carbohydrates. I'm trying to think of the list on our website. Is it just the carbohydrate values, or is it protein?
Protein, fat, and carbohydrates.
Okay, and those are the three things you want to be very concerned about. A lot of people are so concerned that the foods say no grain or no glutens, and that's just not or that it says organic, which in this country doesn't mean much of anything when it comes to pet food.
Right.
There's a lot of labels that can just be slapped on there that don't really have anything backing them.
Yeah.
So you want to look at the carbohydrate level and the protein level primarily. And so we have a chart that we've created. There's other websites that have charts as well.
Mm-hmm.
And on it you can see exactly the percentage of carbohydrates, protein, and fat that's in a number of canned foods. We're not talking about any specific company. There's many,
all sorts of brands.
Many brands.
Yeah.
But we are talking about specific flavors.
If you don't see something listed on that chart, it's because it's either too high in carbohydrates or
it hasn't been analyzed yet.
Right.
So don't feed it. You really should feed your cats off this chart. Flavors, just because one flavor of 9 Lives, for example, is acceptable doesn't mean all the flavors are.
Correct.
So you'll see that certain ones are, certain ones aren't.
Right. Right.
Now, where can they find that chart on our website?
It's under the Keeping Cats Healthy section of our website at askthecatdoctor.com, and on our How to Feed Cat page, you'll find a downloadable PDF that you can save to your phone, print out, and bring to the store with you, whatever's most convenient.
That's what I do. I want it in my phone so that it's there, it's compact, it's small, and when I go shopping I can refer to it and pick the flavors that I know are going to be okay for my cats. And I had a really obese cat at one time. He was 21, 22 pounds, and just by changing this diet 3 years ago, he lost down to 16, even 15 pounds.
Right.
And still got to eat as much as he wanted. But when you cut out those carbs, not only will your cats not be obese anymore, but the risk of diabetes just pretty much disappears as far as we know.
Yeah.
And other diseases that we don't have solid evidence on, but could certainly be linked to diet, like hyperthyroidism and kidney disease and all the big diseases that there's far too much of these days.
Right, right. I want to bust a couple of myths. We were talking about, you know, the whole grain-free, organic. I think we should talk a little bit about the issue of byproducts. People are so concerned about that when it comes to cat food. And if you're feeding low carb and you're looking at this list, it's 8 pages long, which is,
That's a lot of
there's a
food,
lot
all
of food to
grains.
choose
Mhm.
from.
And it comes in many different price ranges.
Sure.
You can buy the most expensive, you can buy the cheapest. What matters most to me is that the carbohydrates be low.
Right. But if you want to take it a step further and start looking at ingredients and really breaking down the food, it should be animal-based for the most part. And byproducts aren't a problem.
Not necessarily a problem. They've developed such a bad reputation that you don't
Right.
want byproducts in your cat's food. But what does your cat eat in the wild? It eats a rodent, a small rodent, a mouse, other small rodents. And do they just eat the surface meat,
right.
white meat, whatever
The muscle
you want to call
meat
it, the
and-
muscle meat?
yep.
No, they eat internal organs as
Sure.
well.
Yeah.
And that's where they get a lot of the nutrients that they actually need.
Right.
So if you, just because you see byproducts on the label, that's a very good point. Doesn't mean don't buy that food.
Right. You're better off buying a food where the primary ingredients are byproducts than buying one that lists chicken meat and then soy as the next ingredient,
Right.
for instance.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
Okay, I think that just about covers it. There's so much to talk about
yeah.
when it comes to nutrition, and we certainly intend to make more videos that go into some of these issues in depth. But for now, you can really change the health of your kitty, and you can certainly change their weight and their risk for diabetes by taking the carbohydrates out of their diet. Get off the dry food, refer to our list for canned foods that are okay to feed, and you'll just see an amazing difference in your cats.
Yeah.
She's the cat doctor. Ooh yeah. She's your cat's best friend.
Hi, this is Cat Chat TV. I did not do that on purpose. I really didn't. Okay.
Okay.
Well, that went kind of smoothly. Right?
It did. I think it did. All except for the Cat Chat TV.
That'd be a nice blooper if it wasn't that they really exist, you
Did the
know.
record.
I'm
side.
trying, I'm
side.
I'm getting
Nope,
it.
on the side.
No, record. Record.